Great. So now we are live, and thanks a lot for everyone for joining this great webinar. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, who have registered for this great webinar from different countries and want to witness great session happening today. First of all, Happy New Year 2023 from AI Core Spot team to everyone. Hope you and your family are doing safe. Just to let you know that today is the first webinar about the media sector in the US region in the new year from AI Core Spot. And what a great topic to start the same. It's about technology transformation in the media and entertainment industry. And we are really excited to host this. Now, to begin with, let me introduce myself and the company to you. My name is Nitin Naveen, and I'll be your host for the day. I'm working as Vice President Innovation Strategy at AI CodeSpot. I have great experience around a couple of decades in consulting firms, dealing in and around the emerging technologies. Further, I have been joined by my colleague Arvind and Naveen, who will also assist me in keeping the event lively and resolving technical glitches if it comes in between. So thanks a lot to them for putting in hard work and making this one a huge success. We'll try to provide a seamless experience to all of you so that you can gain maximum output out of the same. Let me provide a brief background to all of you about AI CodeSpot. We started a couple of years back, backed up by InfoVision, who is our knowledge and innovation partner, and Digit7, who is our technology partner. Our mission is to serve as a hub for information regarding the Industry 4.0 technologies. The focus is to provide all of you a deep dive in all the sectors wherever technology is there. And every month we have a separate theme. We are gaining momentum month on month. Our aim is to be number one AI-driven community all over the world so that like-minded people like you can be a part of the same in supporting, growing, and making it a success. The focus is to do industry-backed webinars and hybrid events. Knowledge base, what we'll made through reliable data, through industry leaders, subject matter experts, thought leaders, and our partners. We'll enrich the content through digital content, blogs, videos, podcasts, and newsletters to shed light on the ever-evolving industry. Today, we are having a lovely and unique webinar around the great theme which lays emphasis on technology transformation in the media and entertainment industry. So if you want to know trends that are redefining the media and entertainment, role of technology in helping media, how is the media transforming with the latest technology, future of media and entertainment industry, and so on, then you are in the right place. We'll go all over it throughout the panel discussion, give lots of insights to you. There are lots more in store for next months with focus on different technologies like AI, ML, blockchain, IoT, digital twins, AR, VR, metaverse, and quantum computing. So request all of you go through our website, which is aicorespot.io for future updates. Also, please like our social media handles, which will keep you all updated on everything what we propose to offer in the coming months to follow. Before starting with the day, I would like to highlight a few things so that it can set up the tone for the amazing day. A special mention about our knowledge and innovation partner, InfoVision, who has supported us since beginning and provided us the right support to bring the community together. InfoVision is an end-to-end IT and business service provider specializing in providing technology transformation and innovation projects for over 25 years across multiple industries and serve 12 global locations, including US, Latin America, Middle East, and India. They also have a unique state-of-the-art research and innovation lab named Digit7 in Richardson, Texas, with 5 great innovative products. So to get in touch with them, kindly log on to their website, which is infovision.com, and leave your details through the Contact Us section. Now coming on and moving to our community partners for today. It includes a couple of great companies, Sinclair Broadcast Group and the EW Scripts Company, who came together to make this webinar a success. Special mention to attendees of the event who registered and came today to achieve their objectives through this forum. At the end of the day, if you gain few things out of this or get to network with each other, our core objective as a platform will be achieved. Further, if anybody wants to ask questions, they can type it in the Q&A section, which is at the bottom. You can type in as and when the panel member speaks, and we'll try to get it answered as per the time permitted. Now, let me hand over the stage to Ashish, who is the Chief Business Officer handling telecom, media, and technology domain at InfoVision, and who is the moderator for this panel discussion as well. He's joined by a couple of great leaders, Mark, who's Senior Vice President Advanced Technology at Sinclair Broadcast Group, and Mike, Chief Information Security Officer at the EW Scripts Company. So let's begin this exciting discussion. Over to you, Ashish, to begin this panel discussion.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to everyone who is joining this webinar today. Arvind, thank you so much for setting up the context. It's my pleasure to host this event with the great speakers, Mark and Mike, who comes with the extensive experience with them in the media industry, media and entertainment industry. Uh, we will hope to have a great session and great learnings and great insights we will get from these guys. I would encourage all the audiences and the participants to raise questions, as many as you can, so that you can get the right perspective from our speakers and distinguished speakers today. With that, media industry is going through a massive transformation with the new technologies ATS 3.0, 5G, AIML, and many others are bringing a major change in the media industry. The consumer behaviors are changing, the patterns are changing, and there are many things which are driving this whole change in the media and entertainment industry. I will start with Mike. Mike, ATS 3.0, specific to ATS 3.0, we are seeing a massive change and transformation coming in the industry today. Would you like to talk about to your audiences today in terms of what the ATS 3.0 is all about? And then we will listen from Mark. And I know, Mark, you have a great presentation to share with our audiences, so we will come to that. But Mike, we will love to start with you first.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the way I look at it, coming from a technology background, I see a lot of opportunities from the ATSC 3.0 stack. Essentially, it's a way of delivering over-the-air signal on an IP stack, right? Things that have been traditionally used over 5G, over cable broadband. It's a whole new opportunity to unlock new revenue streams within the broadcast industry, right? So rather than just television signals, we can talk. You'll be hearing things about data casting, right? The idea of delivering packets of data over the air to a broad swath of devices in a one-to-many strategy. That obviously has a lot of benefits. As we're looking in the industry, specifically the automotive industry, there is a rapid transformation happening within that industry, specifically electric vehicles, right? Tesla started the market, and we're seeing rapid adoption of new electric vehicles. The beauty of that and the opportunity we see in the broadcast spectrum is all of these new devices, they have connectivity requirements. And those connectivity requirements are simple things like over-the-air updates, right? They've got to update their technology, their software. These are even new revenue streams that the automotive OEMs are looking at, right? We've seen some experimentation in some of the markets. I think it was maybe BMW where they were delivering capability from a hardware perspective. You have seat heaters, right, or steering wheel heaters, and that was a subscription model, right? So they're looking at making subscription model as a capability of their revenue streams, and obviously with that, they need to be able to update that software. And we see as this new standard gives the opportunity of a one-to-many. There's significant value there from a perspective of sending one packet, one update out to many devices at once. It's a much, it should be a much cheaper way to update devices. And it's just not the automotive market either, right? We're seeing things in agriculture. They're doing things in agriculture, smart cities, where they need to have connectivity between vehicles in the future and the smart cities themselves. There's all different type of things out there that we can really see, a lot of value. I think Gartner was predicting just in the next year, 43 billion devices connected to the internet. Each of them will require some kind of updating. And that's, I think, where we can see there's a new revenue stream opportunities.
No, thank you so much. And I can echo what you are saying. I drive Tesla myself, and the way all the software upgrades and all the updates have been given on the top, over the top, which is completely very different experience what I used to have with the things, and more IoT devices which are getting connected to the across the world will definitely leverage ATS 3.0 type of technologies to make it better and better. So coming to Mark, I know, Mark, you have a very good presentation to share with our audience today. So we'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, well, if you could play that for me, please. As you know, I had a hiccup this morning with respect to my PC, and I extend as well my welcoming to the folks here. And I thought that it would be of good service to those participating to understand what is this ATSC3 thing that we're talking about. And we look at this very simply. We've got an acronym, DDAS, Data Distribution as a Service. So you can go to the next slide. And as Mike said earlier, we have for the first time an all IP-based wireless means of communicating to one-to-many or one-to-everyone. For those who don't know who Sinclair is one of the larger television groups in the United States, with a lot of assets, both in terms of stations, 188 stations in 86 markets, with a lot of technology innovation internal to the company. I'm also the president of One Media, which is our innovations group, and as a broadcaster, as a television broadcaster, we have many channels, both over the air and over the top. So if you can go to the next page. So very simply, what is this ATSC3 thing that we're talking about? Well, it's a new standard. It is in play internationally now. It's a wireless IP broadcast standard that is the established national standard in Korea, in some island states, such as the island nations like Jamaica. Huge activity underway in India under the rubric of direct to mobile, but it's not just a television standard. It's a wireless IT pipeline, highly efficient, fully compatible with all of the other broadband platforms that are available, both wired and wireless, and it has a host of other, television specific features as well as web specific features. So the next slide, please. So what is the value proposition? And we see the value proposition as being enabling this data distribution as a service, or data casting in a simpler term, because of the one-to-many nature of it. And if you think about it, it's a multiplier in terms of wireless IP delivery. If you're delivering a gigabyte file to an individual, it's easy to comprehend, sort of the data bandwidth required. In the unicast world, if I intend to send that gigabyte file to 1,000 people, now I'm talking about a terabit of data that's being sent. Well, in a one-to-many case, all I need to do is send that file once to all of those recipients. So it is a data multiplier in that sort of way, and it has a host of built-in, web-enabled, IP-specific features, such as built-in security, as well as the ability to support a host of other DRM solutions. So if you go to the next page. And Mike hit it square on the head in terms of what we see as one of the key value propositions, and that's automotive, allowing the rapid distribution and consumption of software updates, automotive entertainment. At the CES this year, we were demonstrating many things. We were doing digital signage. We were doing digital radio over ATSC3. If you look at the advanced codecs of today, a broadcaster, if you assumed a 25 megabit pipeline in less than 10% of that bandwidth, a broadcaster would be able to carry over 200 channels of stereo audio services. So highly efficient. We've demonstrated for the last year and a half or more enhanced GPS, which takes standard GPS, which, as folks know, is not all that accurate. In the self-driving automotive world, standard GPS is the difference between the center line and going off the road. Well, we need a little more precision than that. And with the broadcasting of RTK data, for example, you're able to hone that into values of single-digit centimeter accuracy with respect to positioning. So that we see that as one of the many value propositions in automotive. And if you could go to the next slide, just trying to make this as quick as possible because we want to get to the conversation. But I'd say on the part of Sinclair, and we're not alone in this. I think Mike may be able to correct me. There are 300 or 400 broadcast stations that are represented in the deployment of this new broadcast standard in the United States, reaching almost 2/3 of the American public and close to 80% by the end of this year. Sinclair is also in a partnership with Nexstar, the largest television group. Scripps is way up there in terms of size, and we're working in a number of markets across multiple broadcasters, and we're looking for opportunities to work with others in a collaborative, open sort of way to make available this one-to-many data distribution pipeline for a variety of different applications. The IoT universe, we're speaking of billions of probable endpoint devices that could be easily served through this standard. The next slide. Okay, the last slide. Well, I will emphasize this point. Don't tell people about your dreams, show them. This standard is part of really almost a decades-long effort on the part of the broadcast industry in the United States through ATSC, a standards organization, and so the dream is becoming very real.
Oh, very, very well articulated.
Yeah, maybe just to add on to the commentary that Mark had is, I this is really exciting from that data casting capability because there are just so many different applications, right? And when he talks about broadcasters, our footprint is massive, right? We have one tower and it covers a wide distribution, a wide area in heavily populated areas. Along corridors, you just think about logistics. There are long corridors where there's heavy, trucking needs, there's heavy logistic needs. So there's just so many different applications of the technology use and how efficient it is. It's just an exciting time. This is what, I think there was ATSC 2.0 for a while that would never even really happen, right? And this is really revolutionary in that it can connect and speaks in the language of, again, my speak is TCP/IP, right? From a connectivity standpoint, and that's, it's very complementary to the 5Gs and the mobile network operators, right? We still need a return path. And so there are, definitely good partnerships in the future in that aspect.
Yeah, and the device universe is increasing. So, for example, tomorrow is Republic Day in India, as many of you know, but probably most of you in this conversation know. And we actually have a demonstration we've set up. We've converted one of the high towers in Delhi from the current standard to the ATSC3 standard. We've distributed. There's a half a dozen small transmission devices that have been knit together as part of a single frequency network. Dordashan, through reporting through Prashar Bharati, is going to be carrying the Republic Day affairs across that network. We've got phones. This is the Mark I phone that are being distributed to public officials throughout that event. By the way, one of the reasons for leveraging a phone is you've got a built-in return path. And that return path does not have to be a fat path. It can be a very thin one. As a matter of fact, we're looking at economic models for distance learning in India, for example, that would take a feature phone, which many people know is just a very low cost, equivalent of 10 or 15 US dollars, supported largely through 2G and GSM services universally. Well, bolt onto that a reception device, this IP receiver, and you have the ability to, because most of the traffic on the internet is in fact highly asymmetrical, the ability to interact, is brought about through what some suppliers, Lava and others, would prefer to call the possibility of a broadcast feature phone. So, an inexpensive device that makes use of both sort of a thin line back up and the fat pipe down of ATSC3. So the broad availability of those devices is increasing. We have a partnership with Sankhya Labs, an Indian innovations house, a very large, now part of the Tejas Group, which is a Tata company, and they're manufacturing on all sides of that ecosystem, both on the transmission side and the reception side, to deliver the reality of what for India could be totally transformational in terms of the availability of content to many. The fact is that satellite broadcasting is widely available in India, but it's available to what? To fixed receivers. And we're dealing with a population that increasingly this mobile device is everything. By the way, once you're on this mobile device, another aspect is the ability to cast the devices. So it's an easy leap in the automotive environment in the United States, for example, to realize that reception on this simple device can be cast to other devices inside of the vehicle. It can be cast to home devices, to television screens, and by the nature of the various audio and video codecs and differing transport models as well, MMT and route dash and other IP-specific transport mechanisms. You have accessibility to any device that can consume IP data, whether it's fixed or wireless.
Sure. Now, I think this is really insightful conversation. So while we are on ATS 3.0, Mark and Mike, you would like to share some of the challenges which you guys are facing or industry is facing in implementing 3.0. What we have seen in the telecom, and if I have to give an example from the telecom perspective, 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G, they were all incremental upgrades in terms of, but when the 5G came, it completely transformed not only the technology, but also the business models. It completely transformed. It also transformed the whole back end, because your billing system, your operation systems, your inventory systems, your everything has to be transformed, right? When they have to go through, and whole virtualization and everything came into picture. So would you like to share some of those things, and insights with your participants and audience?
Well, I'm sure Mike will build off of this, but increasingly broadcast is moving to the cloud, right? And it started with with some of the easier paths, you know, uh, some of the office functions, some of the traffic functions. You then move to the server functions and playout functions. But what has been opened up, not just actually what enabled 5G was in fact this move to the cloud. The move to a container approach to the way that we design our services and capabilities and functions. And we can put the entire broadcast uh, chain minus the actual emission of waveforms into the cloud. And so the crosslink there is ORAN, right? So in an ORAN environment, which is growing out of the 5G experience, in the United States, you've got Dish just about ready to sort of strike the point of reaching 70% of the U.S. public with a built bottom-up 5G native ORAN, native cloud approach. Broadcast now falls into that very same world, and so the one of the major activities underway, standardization-wise, is building the complementary core network components that allow ATSC3 to easily integrate into that 5G, and the conversation of 6G is underway to really, to the consumer, erase the line about where that data is flowing from and to. And so, the idea of convergence is really melding of all of these different IP. Uh, the transformational piece of ATSC3 is that it is a IT, it's an IP transport at the core. And so, all of the past history of having to deal with the complexities of you could do IP transport over transport streams, but there was a hurdle for every end device, and it was outside of the rest of the world, the rest of the developing world of the internet. So now we're on equal playing fields, and so the ability to there's no at the base. There's no differentiation between the bits I've got, the bits you've got, and the bits the other guy got. The question is what is the best fit in terms of the application, and it comes down to many cases offload. I'll use India as another example. Well, when IPL is underway, and you've got 20 million simultaneous unicast users, the network doesn't survive. So imagine offloading that IP traffic from a unicast network, putting it onto a broadcast network, and with a few endpoints reaching 20 million people, with a common stream. And there are pieces that fundamentally are there's a multicast component to 4G and to 5G. In the case of 4G, they tried deployment in India, but with abysmal results. It was used because it's in the device, it's in the chip, and it's supported in the 3GPP environment, but it doesn't work very well. Now the ability to leverage a broadcast platform and offload those bits to a more capable platform in that distribution is just one of the opportunities. But I'm talking too much. I'll let Mike have his say.
Mark, I think I'll get to your question in a minute, but just to add on to what Mark's saying. I mean, imagine live sporting events are always a nightmare. There's so much congestion, right, in live sporting cases or live events, anything like that. There's a lot of great ways that you can alleviate that congestion through the over-the-air one-to-many. I mean, you'll continue to hear us talk about that quite a bit because that's the big value proposition that it's bringing is that offload of the congestion of traditional mobile wireless. But based on my background, I come from the cybersecurity background. We've adopted cloud very, very early on. The only way to scale security capabilities is to leverage the cloud. So it kind of had a head start in that space, and with my background. But I think the pandemic, really changed every organization, not just our industry, but we started dabbling in how do we get remote broadcasts, right? During the pandemic, everybody had to go home. We started adopting these technologies and then looking at the cloud. I think it's helped our industry, many other industries as well, but our industry start looking at new ways of how do you use the cloud? How can we leverage the cloud? How can we incrementally, to your point, move? While it's not a 2G, 3G, 5G, 4G, 5G, it's just the business getting fluent in cloud and how the cloud works and how you need to think about cloud scalability and getting closer to the edge and where your devices are at. So, I think Mark's point around blurring the edges, we're looking at it as an industry. I think we're getting smarter about how to leverage the cloud and look at the cloud to further extend ATSC 3.0 capabilities. So that's where I'm really excited about it, is because there's technology partners that are already doing that in the 5G space, right? They're looking at these things. I can definitely see there's going to be some opportunities where, as Mark said again, highest and best use of the signal, right? 5G may be great for some things. Guess what? Broadcast could be doing great things with the ATSC 3.0 signal for different use cases. So I really, I'm just really excited about that. I think there's maybe some shorter term applications in some industries that can immediately apply. Some will need to, get their the manufacturing side. It's a longer life cycle in terms of getting products out there, shipped with the capability to receive these signals. But I think every one of them are going to have needs for getting data to their devices. So
yeah, and one point that you made just sort of emphasize for me that it's not either or, right? It's not one or the other, because it's really the meshing, the melding across those multiple platforms that that are value in the media universe. The simple reporting of real data about real consumption on the part of consumers, being able to understand and shape the nature of programming, both in the linear and nonlinear OTT world, are wholly dependent on the kind of analytics that are possible. And a last point of differentiation, by the way, is the nature of our spectrum versus the what some folks would think is boundless spectrum available to the to the telecom operators. The fact of the matter is that low UHF spectrum has great reach, it great penetrating values, for indoor services from the out of doors, and I remember just a week and a half ago, even had the president of Verizon, sort of poo-pooing the numbers being touted by cable. We've got 1 gig up, 1 gig down, 2 gigs down, and he raised the question. He said, "Look, at those kinds of numbers are nice, but they're really unimportant to the average consumer." And so when you're building a unicast network and the distribution, it's a matter of getting closer and closer to the edge, because the congestion happens, as a nature of the cumulative sessions that are underway, and so being able to manage that, and in many cases, We've got conversation going with several large ISPs to provide a means to be able to broadcast the cache at the edge, to use media edge processing as an accelerator to those unicast networks. So again, this is not either or. This is about best fit.
Sure. No, thank you. I think it's a great insight. And Mike, you talked about your background is cybersecurity, and you talked about some of the security aspect. But I think we would love to know more about the security aspect of ATS 3.0. How secure is this network is? What broadcasters are doing to make it more secure? And what are the challenges which you guys are facing in securing this network? Because end of the day, as a consumer, as a business, I am my device is exposed completely to the network from where I'm getting this all the streaming, right? So I would love to know how secure this network is, and I should not be worried about. So Mark and Mike, I think your both of your insights will be important.
I mean, I think Mark already highlighted, but I mean, there were from the very beginning of this, right? There was encryption planned from the very beginning that encrypted end to end from where we're sending the signal to the device itself. From my perspective, I'm looking at ATSC 3.0 and how do we layer, as we layer these new possibilities of as Mark mentioned, core network, right? While we have an encryption mechanism, you still have to build security in from the ground up of whatever, it could be a business to consumer, it may be a business to business model, whatever that model might be, you've got to build security and privacy in from the foundation. So, so again, the standard itself is already built with encryption in mind, but as we layer these new capabilities and these new services that are going in, security and privacy have to be, they're paramount to that. And I look at it as both Mark and I are in the we're in the broadcast industry, journalism industry. Trust is critical. So it's certainly, that's why I'm involved in anything that we're looking at, any new innovative capabilities that we're looking to deliver, that as we're looking to leverage maybe the cloud to do some of these things, how does that cloud integrate to our network to ensure that whatever customer may come on board, be it automotive OEM, be it agriculture, that they can trust that whatever is being delivered to them is secure and built with privacy in mind.
Yeah, well, look at the if it flows across the internet, it'll flow across broadcast. That's one easy way to think about it. So all of the security features that look at an example of Widevine's good enough for Netflix. Why isn't that just one of the many means that are available? ATSC has its own defined DRM and protection schemes, but all the other industry applied ones. By the way, those were driven by network requirements. Network as in ABC, NBC, CBS, etc. But all the other security features that create the opportunity for paywalls, all of those exist as well. And a thought just crossed my mind though. You get into the world of AI, and something that Mike said really strikes home, which is the accountability that local broadcast has with respect to trust. Trust goes beyond cybersecurity. It's also the nature of the security of the information that's being received, and not just the security of it, but the true nature of it. And I saw an article. There are many newspapers that decided that they were going to, take advantage of, Chat GPT, for example, and a slew of articles. It's like, oh, well, this is easy. I just say, here's the parameters of the article I want written, and I got an article and I can publish it. Well, don't go so fast. I mean, again, this is the wide world of the web. There's truth and there's untruth, and there's a big gray area between. And so the nature of true journalistic intent and protecting that trusted relationship that we have with our local market. And by the way, you can look across any study. The fact is that local news is trusted more than any other news source. It's trusted more than network news. It's trusted more than newspapers. And part of that is people have a relationship in local markets with with the reporters, with the staff of the station. But it's also the case that we're sort of in many ways we represent and bring to the public as sort of the last line of defense to ensure that the government is doing what people expect government to do. And I'm not putting any left or right spin on that. The fact is that that we are a federal constitutional republic, and the right answers demand truth. So truth comes in the form of accountability, and truth comes in the form of the protection of that data. The security levels on our broadcast chain, on that transmission chain, start all the way long before anything enters the building, all the way through the chain. And there's a proprietary protection scheme in the link between the studio and the transmitter, fully independent from every other. Because why? Because we are the first line of news. We are the first line of emergency information. ATSC3 expands and extends the ability to provide that information through AEI, Advanced Emergency Informing, not just the squawk, squawk, squawk emergency broadcast stuff, but all the rich data that our weather, operators, our connections with the community to first responders allow us to bring information nearly instantaneously. And by the way, that's just another reason that you want that on this device, because we have to reach people outside of the home, and increasingly that's the prevalent means of doing that. Sorry, I got on my soapbox, but the internet's the internet, and the broadcast is a component of the internet that the internet never had.
Yeah. No, I think absolutely very, very valid point. And I see some of the questions being posted here. But before we go to the question, the last topic I want to cover with you guys is on the, and I know Chat GPT conversation came in just now, but from AI ML standpoint, Mark and Mike, we have seen a lot of use cases which across the industries, which today enterprises are using for AI ML. They are either their core processes, their front end processes, and the different task activities, from automation to AI to ML. People are leveraging. Would love to hear your thoughts across your broadcasting industry. What are the use cases? How you guys are leveraging it? And then we go to the questions.
Yeah, I mean, I'll jump in here. I mean, the way I look at it is AI ML has been around for quite a while. I think what's changed with ChatGPT and why it's gone viral is it was obscure before, right? It was built into products before, and it was always a black box, opaque, and the traditional user never had engagement with it. Like, I'll give you an example. Cybersecurity has been using AI and ML for many years, right? That's the only way we can try to keep up with all the threats and the changing threat landscape, is to take data telemetry and figure out ways to identify through machine learning and AI if it's a threat or if it's not a threat. So ChatGPT, I think what it's done is it's essentially brought it to the forefront. Users now can directly interact. I think that's the big change. They've had DALL-E before, OpenAI had DALL-E before, where people were, testing things out, right? It's a text to image type thing. But really, ChatGPT, what's changed is that user interface, and you can have many different applications from it. And just a few examples, I'm seeing things where people are using it for summarizing massive amounts of research, right? You provided a bunch of text and it can summarize a bunch of those concepts into a very easy to understand, easy way to communicate. Personally, I look at it and it's kind of helped with writer's block. Right? I got to do a lot of updates, a lot of distilling complex subject matter into easy to understand terminology that a typical user can understand. So definitely, there's a lot of value. I think when I look at it, it was like the adoption of cloud. In IT, we used to call things shadow IT. This is the new thing. I think we're going to see shadow AI, shadow ML. It's people using these things maybe without guardrails and guidance can be dangerous, especially in the journalism industry. I think Mark already alluded a little bit to that. As we're quick to adopt new technologies. As a user, let's say we, but in general, people, when something goes viral, everyone starts adopting it without really understanding the implications and what they have to think about. So, from our perspective, I'm looking at ways to make sure, working with legal, there are serious legal implications here, right? Copyright, already people are talking about copyright, you can write things in the form of Dr. Seuss's example. So I think there'll be some legal implications we have to worry about. In our industry, ethical considerations, right? These are black boxes. When you go put this in, when you prompt these generative AI algorithms, they're providing feedback, but it's from a black box. So as always, you have to validate. They're not going to give you a source where it came from. So there's got to be a lot of serious thought put into whatever you're taking as the output and how you're using that. So definitely going to be some ethical considerations from a bias perspective, what the output looks like. But I mean, obviously, there's already. Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
Sorry, no, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't. I thought.
The last thing I was going to say is, use cases that are already happening, and there are, they're using AI for dubbing in multiple languages. Right? They've been doing this for many years already in the media industry, specifically in the production industry. Captioning, that will be another easy one. Synthetic voiceovers. I don't know if you saw this, but I think James Earl Jones has now copyrighted his voice for synthetic use in perpetuity, right? There's a revenue stream even for artists. So it's not like it's going to replace artists, but it can augment even their work. And you were going to say, Mark, I'll pass it over to you.
Yeah, no, I mean, closed captioning. We've converted to live closed captioning via IBM Watson. We talk about on the analytics side, data lakes, right? Well, for us on the sort of the programming side, we're building up the lake. You got to start somewhere. So we got ponds that's going to build into the lakes, but then the question is how do you analyze that data? And what do you do with it? And so, so AI plays a huge role in being able to look across, just massive amount of information and distilling it down. I mean, the devil's in the details about the nature of what you're doing, but where we are today, it's no longer about about the the kid with the fast fingers and able to to type a thousand lines a second of scripting for some web function. So that that's one of the roles, and certainly we'll find better ways to implement, in the security domain, for example, a blockchain, and how do we drag that into the world of protecting content in a way that it's not been protected before. Sometimes the earliest protection techniques were just really truly a binary function. In the analog, I remember the first analog pay TV operation. All they did was they inverted sync, and a television receiver couldn't see it because it had 40 IRE units of inverted sync. that didn't last very long. And so security becomes more and more important, and it becomes more and more important because, by the way, AI is being thrown at decryption and getting around that gate. So there's a constant ratcheting that's going on in that world beyond just you know 256-bit encryption. I mean, to some of today's machines, that's nothing. And so and none of this is magic. I mean, the other day it's interesting having conversations with some of management about, well, what is the cloud? I mean, the cloud is like this thing floating out there, and you say, well, let me walk you into the back room, and I'll give you a local instance of the cloud, and right, and sort of working them through an understanding that all these things are connected. And I just keep coming back. My theme, I guess, for this particular webinar is it's just IP, and so that's where we are.
Sure. Let's quickly jump on, and we have a couple of questions, and I want Mark and Mike both to give your perspective on each question. And you were talking about, you just mentioned, Mark, about blockchain. So there is one question, which is, how are blockchain and other emerging technologies being used in the media and entertainment industry? This is a question by Jamie Andrew. Yeah.
Boy, I'll let Mike answer that one because
Yeah.
I may sound good. I may sleep at a Holiday Inn and sound like I know something about IT, but I'm at heart an RF engineer.
Yeah, well, I mean, I see there's blockchain has possibility. I think Mark actually hit on one of the use cases.
Right.
We are not using it yet in our industry, at least within our company, much blockchain. But I definitely see rights, DRM side of things, especially as we get towards this. If you're able to fingerprint specific use of technology, and then using blockchain to identify that and create this unique fingerprint, there might be things in DRM that could definitely be of value to the media. But right now, I don't see, I mean, at least within our company, any uses of it right now, but definitely possible future uses as we have this, more adoption of AI and, unique work.
Well, I think also as we, as this new standard prospers, and the notion of paywalls, begins to be a real conversation about a differing source of revenues for broadcast. You begin to link blockchains and Bitcoin together, and suddenly, how do financial transactions happen, and how does that value exchange? How does that come full cycle? Because at the end of the day, look at people are selling digital imprints of pictures as a as something of value. Well, video content could be viewed the same way, and so I see, and I hear the conversation going on, particularly within our web group, our Seattle Digital. We've got about a 300-person team that's just focused on on OTT strategies. So that is a increasing conversation, and one of these days I'll be more well versed on it. But it is just an emerging technology in the broad for us, coming out of it's in a certain sense, right? We're coming out of the closet. We used to be just television guys, right? What we did was we did video, and there was and then talkies came along, and you had video and audio, and fundamentally the business was unchanged through all of the what was called the digital transition for television in the United States. It was called that, but fundamentally the business never changed. Now, and one of the reasons, the most prevalent reason, was across the world of all the standards that were out there, uh, broadcast stood alone. And this is just a matter of the United States, right? It's not just a matter of the ATSC standard, but the DVB standards, the ISDBT standards, the CMMB standard in China, all of those standards, uh, they were transport stream centric. And and it was easy for broadcasters to convert to that, because that was no different than, in many ways, okay, I got a video cable here, I've got an ASI stream here, they're roughly equivalent, and boom, they were done. And the only digitization that actually happened was the nature of how the waveforms were being created. And what waveforms aren't really digital. You can pull digital out of it, but waveforms are actually analog. Um, and we digitized our video content, right? We went from a world of analog video to digital video, and that was a change that happened very suddenly in 1990 with GI and others who suddenly said we can do video as bits. So we've come a long way since then, but now you have a fundamental change within this industry. We've always been called broadcast, and broadcast has been sort of the same thing as television. If you said broadcast, people heard television, but now we're talking broadcast as something very different beyond television. And I'll go back to my point. It's all about IP.
Yeah, and I love how you said that, Mark. Broadcast associated with television. I mean, it's more like a telecom, right? In terms of one way. Now it's one way, but there's still the big proposition there. I saw another question around technology innovation, and I think this relates a little bit to what we're hitting on is OTT. I think there's been a lot in that space in terms of delivering content through the same type of stuff we have over the air, but over the top as well. So there's been a lot of innovation there with fast TV channels being deployed, and having multiple ways to reach our consumers. I think we've been talking a lot about the value of ATSC 3.0 from a business to business model, but obviously the business consumer, we've always been that with television, right? Providing content. So there's all new sorts of capabilities that ATSC 3.0 will bring, second screen type experience or interactive experiences within the television itself. I can imagine things, sports betting is getting huge now all over the US, right? And when you're using other services that are streaming, that's not as fast, right? I was watching my football the other day, watching the Bengals, and I had my ATSC 3.0 signal come up, and then I'm watching it on my streaming, and there's a massive difference in time and how quickly that signal gets there. And oh, by the way, the quality as well. So I think it's going to have a big shape from the consumer experiences once they start, there's more awareness of what ATSC 3.0 has to offer from the consumer perspective.
Yeah, I mean, nearly instantaneous is one way of thinking of it. I mean, from a technical standpoint, I know that mathematically, you're talking about end to end, including speed of light. You're talking about the ability end to end to transport bits in sub-second. So in that sports and betting environment, I think that will be leveraged, because even with the priority services that are available with AWS and others, those priority services are dealing with like 5-second delay times at best. The typical delay is 15 to 30 seconds, and by the nature of Dash, actually there's time slippage, and there's not synchronicity, right? You can start a program, and Arvin can start a program at exactly the same time on the internet, and after a half hour, you could be 2 or 3 minute difference in terms of what you're consuming because of the nature of drop packets and the nature of that transport pipe. So there are tools in this IP standard like MMT that provide for absolute synchronicity at all endpoints. A properly designed receiver buffer model allows every single device to consume and forward the same content at the same instant in time, tagged directly to global time standards. And by the way, I see a question here that if you don't mind, I address this issue of centralization of IT systems that Pieter put forward. That sort of comes back to the cloud. And what is your philosophy? 5 years ago, as everybody was entering the cloud domain, there was this notion that 80% of what you did or more was going to exist in the cloud, and you'd have a little bit of remnants at a local level. Well, I can tell you that in practice, and even looking at the transformation that our company is going through, that the issue of security, the issue of redundancy, the issue of catastrophe management leans heavily towards a different distribution, I think, at least for us in the media environment. And an imprecise number that I see in the coming year or two is probably more balanced, like 60% on-prem, 40% in the cloud. And I think that will migrate over time. But at the end of the day, the cloud is nothing, what is it? It's a bunch of computational and memory storage devices. And so having a backup, and by the nature of even our emergency broadcast system, the role that we play, again, in the life of people and providing information on the block by block progression of a tornado in Oklahoma, the impact of hurricane related flooding along the coastline, the nature of earthquakes or massive forest fires. All of those things require a degree of added importance in terms of our role with respect to the public good.
Sure. I think I know we are top of the hour, Naveen, and I'll hand it over to you. But before that, I would like to thank both the speakers for such a great insights and experience. I hope our participants and audience have learned a lot today. With that, Arvind, to you.
Thank you. No, it was an excellent discussion, and thanks a lot, Mark and Mike, and Ashish, to bring this, at such a platform and to discuss about the different technologies, it's going on in the media and entertainment industry. So just to wrap up, as the AI Code Spot unit, we would like to thank our community partners, speakers, and attendees who came together for enriching knowledge through this forum. As we had some great panel speakers who came together to share thoughts and taken the time. So thanks a lot to all of you. Just for your information, today's event was broadcasted in the YouTube page of our company. So you all can go and see the recording anytime. Please log on to our website, which is aicorespot.io, and like the social media channels. We'll be sharing lots of knowledge sharing topics, details, announcement of next events, and much more, which will help you register and attend the same. We would like to thank InfoVision, who is our knowledge and innovation partner, and Digit7, who is technology partner. To understand more in depth and connect with them, all of you can go through their website, which is infovision.com, and closely liaison with them. Further, there are lots more in store for this year with focus on different industries like banking, financial, insurance, telecom, retail, healthcare, supply chain, manufacturing, energy, utility, media, and entertainment obviously keeps on, and so on. So request all of you to keep connected with us and enjoy the learning. Thanks, and do take good care of yourself. Have a lovely day and great week ahead. Bye to all of you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Have a good day.
See you. Take
Bye,
care.
everyone.
Here.